Hey everyone, welcome back. Do you have a Samsung refrigerator that looks like this? It's making a weird noise behind there and it's icing up around there. Well, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to fix that. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pull up on that bottom drawer system. You're going to want to lift up and pull forward to make some space between the back wall. I know some models of this fridge, they don't have that water filter there, but if you have that water filter, it does make it slightly more tricky, but it's still not too bad. You just lift up and pull forward that drawer system. You're going to want to get behind that back cover there, because that's where everything is. There's only about 3 screws on the bottom row where I'm getting to right now. I'm using the elbow because it makes it easier. And then you're going to have a hidden one behind that cover up there. Yep, so you've got that one. Then you've got the 3 at the bottom. So you only have about 4 screws, but they're all hidden. So you kind of have to figure out how to get to them, which is why you're here. And yeah, you're going to want to get behind that back panel because everything's back there. I've seen these really bad before where there's ice coming out of those air channels. And the upper part of the fridge isn't cooling hardly at all. So now you can see I'm slowly starting to pry it off. And you want to go slow at this point because if there is a lot of ice built up back there, it's going to be sticking to the styrofoam. And there's styrofoam behind that plastic cover as part of the insulation. Alright, so I've got my steamer now. The easiest way to do this is with the steamer. What you do is you try to pull the cover up just a little bit, just enough to get the nozzle of the steamer into it. You kind of want to wedge it in and try to get it back behind that plastic and behind the styrofoam so that you can melt the ice built up so that it'll release it. Because essentially what's behind that panel is the fresh food evaporator. And on this model of refrigerator, it ices up a lot. And I'll go into that a little bit more later. But yeah, it's pretty much a known issue with this fridge. So sometimes these covers can be really hard to get off. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes you just can't get them off. Sometimes you end up destroying them, getting them off. But typically what I recommend, because I've been able to successfully get them off without destroying them several times. And what you want to do is slowly pull it forward, get that steamer back there, and steam. And right there, you see, if you look real close at the nozzle, you can see I really get it in there. And you just want to keep steaming it. You know, it might take 2 minutes, it might take 20 minutes. It might take longer. I mean, I've had one that was iced up so bad, the entire back of that was full of ice. And it took 20 minutes. So as you can see, I steamed it enough so that way it finally broke free. And I slowed it down so that you could see right when it broke. You can feel it because it just starts to pop. You're going to want to be careful here. Don't just rip it off. You're going to want to slow down and you're going to have to disconnect those 2 connectors there. They just have some thin wires. And so you do want to be careful. You don't want to just rip the panel right off. You want to go ahead and slowly and gently lower the panel down and then remove those connectors. As you can see there, I'm talking to the customer, explaining to her that essentially what's going on is the ice is built up and the fan blades were hitting the ice. So that's why it was causing that like grinding noise or clicking noise. And also the drain line was frozen. Right here, I went ahead and put those there because you're going to want to be careful with those 2 areas. There's the thermistor and the fuse for the heater. So you do want to be careful if you're steaming this. You want to be careful not to hit those areas and rewind if you need to, but you're going to want to be careful not to hit those areas with too much steam for too long because you can break those components. I've seen it happen before where the fuse blows or the thermistor gets messed up. So here I am melting the drain essentially what you're going to want to do is push the nozzle of the steamer down into the drain hole, and you're going to want to hold it there, and you're going to hear it start to bubble and squeal and whistle, and then finally you're going to hear like boom, and then the water's going to start going down, and you're going to know that the ice was finally melted through. So yeah, basically I'm melting all the ice. I'm kind of using the nozzle a little bit to chip it a bit. What I like to go straight in and like make holes with it, you know, as you probably saw in the previous part of the video. Make some holes and gently kind of pick it off. You don't want to pick it too hard or too aggressive, because you can damage that evaporator coil. It's made of aluminum, so it's kind of soft. Also, be very careful, because those fins are sharp. They're pretty sharp. I've cut myself a few times. I would highly recommend you wear gloves. Yeah, just be careful. The steamer's hot too, so be careful with that. I'm just steaming all around, kind of gently nudging it. I'm more nudging it out of the way. And I'm completely de-thawing this. This is like a 100% steam video here. I'm going in between the fins. I'm going all over. And by the way, the fridge is unplugged right now, so it's not working against me. It's set up so that way it's de-thawing and melting as much as possible. Yeah, so here I am kind of cleaning it up a little bit, inspecting it. I'm actually going to straighten out some of those fins in a second here, because it's good to straighten them back out for optimal performance. But so at this point, essentially what you do is, if you did buy a new fan or you did buy a new assembly with that whole cover, which Samsung actually recommends a lot of the time, that you just go ahead and replace the entire cover assembly with the fan. And it's not a bad idea. For me, at least for some of these calls, obviously, you know, depending on what the customer wants and depending on the situation, how bad the ice was, that'll kind of depend how I move forward. Alright, so at this point I'm going to be showing you how to test the fuse for the heater and test the heater itself, because like I said, if by somehow accidentally you put too much heat on the heater, or on the fuse, it could blow. So basically what I'm doing is checking for continuity right now. I've got one side hooked up to one line of the heater, one side hooked up to the other, and you can see that I do have continuity and that the fuse is not blown. And you do have to have these disconnected. You can't just leave them plugged into the fridge. You have to disconnect them like I have here to test them. So that way I know that the heater's good, I know that the fuse is good. And then in this next part of the video, I show you how, so that dangling yellow wire with the sensor, that's essentially the thermistor that senses how cold it is and tells the computer. And you can experiment with moving that around. I put it back where it was by default, based on where Samsung recommends. But I've also seen where you can put it in the middle where I had showed you, and that can change some of your results.
Oh yeah. Even more common.
Because like I said, this is a known issue with this fridge. I've done this many times. And yeah. So here, at this point, you would put on the new cover or the new fan. And I'm explaining to her that I usually see a lot of ice maker issues on this fridge too. I did see a big chunk of ice still in that fan, so I went ahead and steamed it some more, just to thaw everything out. And again, be gentle when you're putting these connectors in. I know sometimes it can be a little bit difficult, but just be careful. You don't want to pull on them too hard or tug on them or get them to break. You just kind of slide that cover down just a little bit, plug them in. They can only go one way, so that's pretty simple to get them plugged in. But you know, just another tip here, this customer told me that this just started happening, and so in my opinion, the fan seemed to still be good. However, I have seen where the ice is so bad that the fan is completely seized up, like in a solid block of ice. And at that point, it's recommended that you change the fan because it could have been damaged and then it might not be spinning at the right RPMs. So yeah, I'm putting everything back together. That cover, essentially, to put it back on, you just you line it up, you push it up into the ceiling a little bit, and then you pop the sides. It's all held in with plastic clips up until the point where you screw in all the screws. So I'm screwing in all the screws right now. I like to use that elbow because there's not a whole lot of room there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, sometimes I've seen it so bad where ice is coming out of the holes, and it's not very cold in the fresh food compartment, the refrigerator. I've also seen it, yeah, where the fan is just making tons and tons of clicking noises and other kinds of noises, and typically that's due to ice hitting the fan blades. Yeah, I think you're gonna see there I accidentally put in one of the screws too early and I had to take it out and then put it back in. Maybe not. So yeah, it's not too hard. It can be done if you have a steamer. It's not too bad, but sometimes it is, honestly. I've had, like I said, I've had some of these where it took almost an hour to get that cover off because I was trying to save it, you know, because it's styrofoam and it's very fragile. And here I am, I'm just cleaning up everything, trying to get every last bit of ice. Because essentially part of her issue was also that her drain line was clogged and water was leaking down under the drawer. Which, speaking of that drawer, oh goodness, this drawer was such a pain to get out and get back in. So I just wanted to slow this part down and show you guys how I got it back in. You just kind of have to lift that up, angle it in, and then just slowly work each side onto the tracks. I thought that that one shelf would come out, but for some reason it wouldn't come out. You know, on the door there, that one that I'm touching now, I thought it would come out, but it wasn't really able to come out. So anyway, I made it work. So
yeah, usually these shelves come out. I don't know why this one don't want to.
Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what else you guys want to see, or if you have any comments. I'm experimenting with more editing. You know, the first few videos I uploaded were just straight video, no cuts, no voiceover, no nothing. Now I'm starting to get into a little bit more of the editing. It's just as far as speeding up some of the slower, more boring parts and doing more voiceovers, as well as
I don't blame him.
Just learning. You know, everything in life is about learning and growing, and yeah. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, comment, subscribe. It means a lot to me and helps the channel a whole lot. So thank you. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Later, everyone.